Yes, so good morning and welcome to today's class. And how are you all? Hope at your end everything is well and good. And yesterday we completed our chapter, and today, beginning with the new chapter of the same book, that is Movement, we will start with the seventh chapter. Okay, we are going to start with the chapter number 7, that is the last leaf. It is a very interesting story of two girls. This is really, आप इसको पढ़ोगे तो समवेयर इन दी मिड हम जब पहुंचेंगे तो हमारे अंदर एक क्यूरियोसिटी डेवलप हो जाएगी दैट व्हाट्स गोइंग टू बी द एंड ऑफ इट. Okay, so we are going to start with a new chapter, the last leaf. Now, first of all, before starting, as usual, हम एक chapter sketch देखते हैं. We will understand the basic, we can say the main points of the story of the sketch of the chapter. So it says that there are two girls named Sue and Johnsy. They were two artist kind of girl, and they shared a small flat and lived together. Okay, so this is the story of Sue and Johnsy, the two young artists, and they shared a small flat. वो आपको first line दिखाई दे रही है screen पे. Now Johnsy was suffering from pneumonia. Johnsy was suffering from pneumonia, and the doctor came and gave her some medicines. But the medicines did not act upon her illness. उस पे कोई असर नहीं हुआ medicines का. ठीक है, कोई भी उसको फर्क नहीं पड़ा मेडिसिन से, एंड वो वैसे ही बीमार रही. एंड व्हाट हैपेंस, जैसे जैसे वो बीमार होती गई ना, वो बहुत डिप्रेस भी होती गई. एंड शी केम टू अ पॉइंट वेयर शी सेड कि अगर ऐसा ही रहा ना, सो आई एम गोइंग टू डाई वेरी सून. एंड देयर वाज एन आईवी क्रीपर, देयर वाज बेल. आपने देखा है, एक तो प्लांट्स होते हैं, पेड़ होते हैं, पौधे होते हैं, और एक क्रीपर्स होते हैं. सो शी सेड दैट देयर इज एन आईवी क्रीपर. उसकी डेली एक एक लीफ, डेली मतलब वन आफ्टर द अदर, रोज उसकी लीव्स गिर रही हैं. एंड शी सेड कि जिस दिन, जॉन्सी ने बोला कि जिस दिन इसकी लास्ट लीफ गिरेगी ना, दैट डे आई एम गोइंग टू डाई. सो जॉन्सी थॉट दैट शी वुड डाई with the fall of the last leaf of the ivy creeper. And Sue told her that do not think negatively, इतना negative मत सोचो, because nothing of such kind is going to happen. ऐसा कुछ भी नहीं होने वाला है. इतना डिप्रेस नहीं होना, इतना नेगेटिव नहीं सोचना. क्या लेना देना है, क्या लिंक है किसका आपस में, तुम्हारी डेथ का और इस आईवी क्रीपर का. देयर इज नो लिंक बिटवीन बोथ. So Sue informed an artist Behrman about Johnson's illness. So Sue did what? Sue informed an artist whose name was Behrman about Johnson's illness. Johnsy की illness के बारे में उन्होंने उनको समझाया, बताया. ठीक है, बेयरमैन को. एंड बेयरमैन वाज एन सच अ ग्रेट पेंटर, और उनका हमेशा से एक ड्रीम था दैट ही वांटेड टू पेंट अ मास्टरपीस. उन्हें एक मास्टरपीस क्रिएट करना है. नाउ what happened now, behrman when he came to know that Johnsy is of a view कि जब ये लास्ट लीफ गिरेगी Johnsy is going to die. so behrman ने क्या किया, उसने ये डिसाइड किया कि हम इस लास्ट लीफ को कभी गिरने ही नहीं देंगे. बिकॉज ये जस्ट क्या है, ये एक साइकोलॉजिकल इफेक्ट है. ऐसा सच में कुछ भी नहीं हो रहा है ना, ऐसा सच में कुछ होना है. दिस इज जस्ट अ बेसिक साइकोलॉजिकल थिंग कि जॉन्सी ऐसा सोच रही है. सो व्हाट वी शुड डू, आई एम गोइंग टू पेंट अ लीफ दैट इज द लास्ट लीफ. बिकॉज उस क्रीपर से तो जो लास्ट लीफ है वो तो गिरेगा ही, अंडरस्टूड है, वेरी सून. वो तो उसी नाइट ही फॉल डाउन हो गया था. बट ही पेंटेड द लीफ, जस्ट सेम लीफ लाइक दैट काइंड, एंड आर्टिफिशियल लीफ ऑन द वॉल वाज पेंटेड बाय बेयरमैन. अब हुआ क्या, Johnsy, when she peeped out through the window to see whether the last he had fallen or not, so she saw what कि leaf तो नहीं गिरी है. So Johnsy was relaxed कि चलो अभी तो मैं जिंदा हूँ और जिंदा ही रहूंगी, जब ये गिरेगी तभी तो मुझे मरना है. One night it rained and stormed fiercely. और एक दिन बहुत ही स्ट्रॉन्ग स्ट्रॉम आया और बहुत ही फियर्स रेन भी हुई वहां पे. ठीक है. नाउ व्हाट हैपेंड, नाउ शी वाज ऑफ द व्यू कि ये तो पक्का गिरेगी गिरेगी. Johnsy again peeped out of the window. But what she saw that the leaf was still on the creeper. कि leaf अभी भी उसी creeper पे थी. Sue said that the last leaf had become green and healthy and it would never fall. She said, Sue ने उसको बोला, Sue was the other friend. She said कि don't worry because this last leaf is because has become very green. मतलब ये वापस से full of life हो गई है. And is it become green and very strong, and this is never going to fall. So you should now stop worrying because you are never going to die as well. So Johnsy also started thinking positively. So Johnsy ने फिर से सोचना शुरू किया. Now she started thinking that she would not die. Now what she started thinking, that she is not going to die. She started recovering rapidly. And what happened, she started recovering, और उसका recovery rate जो था वो बहुत ही rapid था. At last, Sue disclosed that the last leaf was not real but an artificial one which was painted by Behrman. And at last, Sue disclosed that the last leaf was not real. कि last leaf real नहीं है, ठीक है? It is an artificial and it was painted by Behrman. And because in such a bad rain, जो हमारे बेयरमैन थे वो इतनी बुरी रेन में पूरे टाइम बाहर खड़े होकर के वो उसको पेंट कर रहे थे ना, सो ही बिकॉज ऑफ हिज ओल्ड एज एज वेल एज गेटिंग ड्रेंच्ड इन द रेन, वो भी इतने गीले हो गए थे उसमें कि ही ऑल्सो was cause he also had pneumonia then, and उसका निमोनिया जो था it took him to death, और निमोनिया के कारण उनकी डेथ भी हो गई. ओके, सो इस तरीके से ये जो था ये दिस वाज द चैप्टर. सो वी कैन से कि वो लास्ट लीव जिसने एक पर्सन को जीने की इच्छा डेवलप कर दी, दिस काइंड ऑफ पेंटिंग इज नोन एज मास्टरपीस, और ये उनकी मास्टरपीस पेंटिंग थी. सो द ड्रीम ऑफ बेहरमैन वाज टू ड्रॉ द मास्टरपीस, और उन्होंने अपना मास्टरपीस ड्रॉ कर दिया. ठीक है, टू पेंट द मास्टरपीस एंड ही पेंटेड द मास्टरपीस. सो इज दिस चैप्टर स्केच क्लियर टू यू ऑल? अगर क्लियर है तो हम आगे मूव करते हैं विद द टेक्स्ट. Yes, but before raising your hand, don't raise your hand right now because Parth wanted to ask something. Let me ask to Parth.
Ma'am, your voice is little bit low.
Okay, so now moving on with the text. Yes, so the name of the chapter is seventh chapter, the last leaf. It is autumn, the wind is blowing hard, and it is raining heavily. All the leaves on an ivy creeper have fallen except one. Why doesn't the last leaf fall? Now it is autumn, we all know, and wind is blowing hard, and it is raining heavily. बहुत ही heavily rain हो रहा था. And all the leaves on the ivy creeper, they have fallen except one leaf. And why doesn't the last leaf fall? और वो last leaf क्यों नहीं गिरी? That we have to understand from the chapter. Sue and John C., two young artists, shared a small flat. The flat was on the third story of an old house. John C. fell very seriously ill in November. She had pneumonia. She would lie in her bed without moving, just gazing out of the window. Sue, her friend, became very worried. She sent for the doctor, although he came every day. There was no change in Johnson's condition. One day, the doctor took Sue aside and asked her, "Is anything worrying Johnsy?" Now, no, replied Sue. But why do you ask? But why do you ask? The doctor said, John C. It seems she has made up her mind that she is not going to get well. If she doesn't want to live, medicines will not help her. She tried her best to make John C. take an interest in things around her. She talked about clothes and fashions, but John C. did not respond. John C. continued to lie still on her bed. Sue brought her drawing board into John C.'s room and started painting to take John C.'s mind off her illness, and she whistled while working. Now what happened? Sue and John C. जो दो थे ना, Sue and John C., they were two young artists and they shared a small flat and they lived together in the flat. The flat was on the third story of an old house. जो फ्लैट था वो कहाँ था? ऑन द थर्ड स्टोरी ऑफ एन ओल्ड हाउस. जो एक ओल्ड हाउस था उसकी थर्ड स्टोरी पे क्या था? द फ्लैट. एंड जॉन्सी was feeling very seriously ill in November time. Jonsy was having pneumonia and she fell seriously ill, and she would lie in her bed without moving, and she was lying in her bed without moving, just gazing out of the window. She was just gazing out of the window, and Sue, her friend, she became very worried and she sent for the doctor. Although he came every day, there was no change in Johnson's condition. But Johnson की condition में किसी तरह का कोई change नहीं था. One day the doctor took Sue aside and asked her. One day what happened? Doctor came and the doctor स्यू को साइड में लेकर गए और उन्होंने स्यू से बोला, इज एनीथिंग वरिंग जॉन्सी? क्या जॉन्सी को कोई चीज है जो उसको वरी कर रही है, उसे परेशान कर रही है? नो, रिप्लाइड स्यू. स्यू सेड नो. बट व्हाई डू यू आस्क? बट शी आस्क्ड द डॉक्टर कि ऐसा तो कुछ नहीं है, बट आप क्यों पूछ रहे हो? The doctor said, John C., it seems, has made up her mind that she is not going to get well. She said, the doctor said, because as I am looking and as I am diagnosing John C., so I have come up to the point that it seems that John C. has made up her mind that she is not going to get well at all. And if she doesn't want to live, medicines is not going to help her. कि अगर वो खुद नहीं सोचेगी, खुद ऐसा नहीं फील करेगी that she wants to live, अगर उसने decide कर लिया that she does not want to live, then medicines are not going to help her. तो medicine उसकी help नहीं करने वाली. And Sue tried her best to make John C. take an interest in things around her. Now Sue tried her best just to make John C. take interest in the things around her, जो उसके आसपास की चीजें हैं, कि she tried that she should start taking interest in all those things, कि उसे अपने आसपास की चीजों में थोड़ा interest हो. She talked about clothes and fashion, but John C. did not respond. She talked about clothes, about fashion, but John C. did not respond, and John C. continued to lie still on her bed. But John C. continuously kept on lying on her bed, and she didn't move, she didn't look at anything. वो किसी चीज में अपना कोई इंटरेस्ट नहीं दिखाती थी. Sue again, now Sue's next attempt was that she bought a drawing board. वो एक drawing board लेकर के आए into Johnsie's room and she started painting over there. She thought that might be Johnsy का interest थोड़ा सा उस painting में आ जाए, तो maybe the things will change. And she started doing the painting, and to take Johnsie's mind off her illness, she whistled while working. जॉन्सी का माइंड इलनेस से हटाने के शी whistled while working, and she was whistling while working. Suddenly, Sue heard John C. whispering something. Now, suddenly, what happened? Sue heard John C. She was whispering something, and she quickly rushed to the bed. And she quickly rushed to the bed and heard John C. counting backward. And she heard that John C. was counting backward. She thought कि ऐसा क्यों है, ये उल्टी गिनती क्यों कर रही है? She was looking out of the window and was saying, वो विंडो से बाहर देख रही थी John C. And what was she saying? 12. After some time, she whispered 11, and then she said 10, and then she said 9, then she said 8, 7, and so on. The backward counting was continuing. Sue बहुत anxious हुई, looking out of the window. बहुत ही anxiously उसने curiosity के साथ में window से बाहर देखा, just to see कि ऐसी क्या चीज है जिसके कारण जॉन्सी उल्टा गिन रही है. What did she saw? She saw that an old ivy creeper was there, climbing halfway up the brick. It was halfway up the brick wall opposite their window. वो कहाँ थी? एक क्रीपर थी, एक बेल थी, जो हाफ वे ऑपोजिट दी विंडो, जो विंडो उनके ऑपोजिट थी, उसकी हाफ वे अप जो चढ़ चुकी थी वो बेल. आपने बेल देखी होंगी ना, बेल जो होती है वो क्लाइम करती है ओवर द रूफ, ओवर द वॉल. तो वो हाफ वे ऑफ द वॉल उसने कवर कर लिया था. एंड इन द स्ट्रॉन्ग विंड, और स्ट्रॉन्ग विंड आउटसाइड बाहर, द क्रीपर वाज शेडिंग इट लीव्स. और इतनी स्ट्रॉन्ग विंड थी कि जो क्रीपर थी ना, उसकी जो लीव्स थी ना, दे वर शेडिंग. लीव्स जो थी वो शेड हो रही थी. ओके, सो व्हाट हैपेंड? व्हाट इज इट डियर? स्यू ने पूछा कि क्या है ये माय डियर जॉन्सी, व्हाट आर यू लुकिंग एट, ये क्या है? 6, विस्पर्ड जॉन्सी. जॉन्सी ने बोला 6. उतने में उसने जवाब नहीं दिया, बट शी अगेन विस्पर्ड, शी सेड 6. Now they are falling faster now. She again said कि अब ये बहुत ही fastly गिर रही हैं. 3 days ago there were almost 100 leaves. There are only few leaves left now. It is autumn, said Sue, and the leaves will fall. Now what happened? She said, Johnsy said 6, and they are falling faster now. 3 days ago there were 100 leaves. 3 days ago 100 around leaves थी यहाँ पे, and now there are left only 5 leaves are left now. Now what's going to happen? Sue said, doesn't matter, it is autumn. पतझड़ का मौसम है, पत्ते तो गिरेंगे ही. It is, we can say, वो बोली कि ये तो पतझड़ है, ठीक है, तो इसमें तो पत्ते गिरेंगे, तो कुछ भी ऐसी बात नहीं है कि तुम परेशान हो जाओ. It's but natural fact. So when the last leaf falls, I will die. Now Johnsy said something. Johnsy said कि जब last leaf गिर जाएगी ना, तो I am going to die. Said John C. with finality, I have known this for the last 3 days. जॉन सी ने इस चीज को बहुत ही फाइनलिटी से बोला, और जॉन सी ने कहा मुझे लास्ट 3 डेज से पता है कि यही होने वाला है. ओ दैट्स नॉनसेंस, रिप्लाइड स्यू. व्हाट हैव ओल्ड आइवी लीव्स टू डू विद यू गेटिंग वेल? द डॉक्टर इज कॉन्फिडेंट दैट यू विल गेट बेटर. नाउ स्यू ने रिप्लाई किया, व्हाट नॉनसेंस यू आर टॉकिंग, पागलों जैसी बातें कर रहे हो, इट्स ऑल रबिश, ऐसा कुछ भी नहीं है. ओल्ड आइवी लीव्स को क्या लेना देना ऑफ यू टू गेट बेटर, तुम्हारी तबीयत अच्छा होने से इस ओल्ड आईवी लीव्स का क्या लेना देना है. डॉक्टर कॉन्फिडेंट है दैट यू आर गोइंग टू गेट बेटर एंड यू विल गेट बेटर. Johnsy did not say anything. Sue went and bought her bowl of soup. Johnsy did not say anything. She kept quiet and kept lying down on the bed, and Sue went out and Sue bought her a bowl of soup. I don't want any soup, said Johnsy. Johnsy ने बोला मुझे कोई सूप वगैरह कुछ नहीं चाहिए. I am not hungry. मेरे को भूख नहीं है. Now there are only 4 leaves left. As there are now only 4 leaves left. एक और लीफ गिर गई थी. I want to see the last one fall before it gets dark. Then I will sleep forever. She says that I want to see the last leaf fall. मैं देखना चाहती हूँ last leaf को गिरते हुए before it gets dark. इससे पहले कि अंधेरा हो जाए. Then I will sleep forever. और फिर मैं हमेशा के लिए सो जाऊंगी. Sue sat on Johnson's bed, kissed her and said. Sue Johnsy के बेड पे उसके पास में बैठी. She kissed her and said. What she said? She said in a very affectionate way. She said that you are not going to die. I can't draw the curtain for I need the light. I want to finish the painting and get some money for us. Please, my dear, she said. So, what happened? She was sitting there and she said that you are not going to die, Johnsy. तुम्हें कुछ नहीं होगा. You just don't get worried. मैं ये कर्टन को ड्रू अप कर देती बट सॉरी आई कांट ड्रू अप द कर्टन. मैं नहीं लगा सकती बिकॉज मैं पेंटिंग कर रही हूँ. आई हैव टू फिनिश दिस पेंटिंग and for that I need some light. And why she needed to finish that painting? Because so that she can get some money for both of them. And she said, please my dear, suno my dear friend. She begged Johnsy. उसने literally उसने beg किया Johnsy को. Promise not to look out of the window while I paint. She said, promise me that जब मैं painting कर रही हूँ you are not going to look out of that window. All right, said Johnsy, finish your painting soon, for I want to see the last leaf fall. I am tired of waiting. I have to die, so let me go away peacefully like one of those poor tired leaves. Johnsy said, all right, finish your painting soon because I want to die soon now. मुझे अपनी लाइफ को एक तरह से फिनिश ही करना है. Because I am tired of waiting now. I have to die, so let me go away peacefully. बिल्कुल कैसे? Just like one of those poor tired leaves. In poor tired leaves जिस तरीके से ये one after the other life को end कर रही है. I also want to end my life, so finish your painting fast so that I can see the last leaf falling and I can die. Try to sleep, said Sue. Sue ने बोला try to sleep. सोने की कोशिश करो. I have to paint an old miner. मुझे उसके लिए एक old miner you know जो persons mines में work करते हैं, that can be called a miner. So she said I want to paint an old miner. I will call Behrman up to be my model. और मैं Behrman को यहाँ लेके आऊंगी up to be my model, to be my model. And she rushed down, and as Behrman lived on the ground floor. Oh, what happened? She rushed down. She called Behrman. As Behrman was living where on the ground floor. जिस फ्लैट में वो रहती थी उसी के ग्राउंड फ्लोर पे Behrman रहते थे. And he was a 60 years old painter. Okay, he was a 60 years old painter. तो वो उसको लेकर के आए. His lifelong dream was to paint a masterpiece, but that had remained a dream. She poured out her worries to Behrman. She told him how Johnsy was convinced that she would die when the last leaf fell. Now he was a 60-year-old painter. His lifelong dream was to paint a masterpiece, but that had remained a dream. And what happened? She poured out her worries to Behrman, and she told him how she felt, how Johnsy was feeling, convinced that she would die, that she is going to die. When is she going to die? When the last leaf fell. कि जब ये last leaf जो है ये fell हो जाएगी. Now she told everything about Johnsy. उसने सब कुछ बता दिया Johnsy के बारे में. And is she stupid? Asked Behrman. How can she be so foolish? She is running a high temperature, complained Sue. She refused to eat or drink and worries me a lot. Now Behrman said, कि क्या वो पागल है, वो ऐसी बात क्यों कर रही है, वाई कैन हाउ कैन शी बी सो फुलिश, वो इतनी पागल कैसे हो सकती है, इतनी बेवकूफों वाली बात वो कैसे कर रही है. नाउ स्यू सेड दैट शी इज रनिंग विद हाई टेम्परेचर, उसे बहुत तेज फीवर है. स्यू ने कंप्लेंट किया. शी ऑल्सो सेइंग दैट उसे अगर कुछ खाने को दो तो वो रिफ्यूज करती है, उसे अगर कुछ ड्रिंक करने को दो तो वो रिफ्यूज करती है. एंड शी इज वरिंग मी अ लॉट एंड आई विल कम with you and see Johnsy, Behrman said. तो Behrman ने क्या बोला, okay then I am going to come with you and चलो हम जॉन्सी को देखते हैं एक बार. So Behrman उसके साथ में आ जाते हैं वहां पे. Now what happens, what she says, they tiptoed into the room. Johnsy was sleeping. Sue drew the curtain together and they went to the next room. She peeped out through the window. There was only one leaf on the creeper and it was raining heavily, and an icy cold wind was blowing. It seemed as though the leaf would fall any minute now. Behrman did not say a word. He went back to his room. Now what happens? They tiptoed to the room and Johnsy was sleeping and Sue drew the curtains together, and what happened? They went to the next room. She peeped out through the window and there was only one leaf on the creeper and it was raining heavily and icy cold wind was blowing, and it seemed as though the leaf would fall any moment, and Behrman did not say a word and he went back to his room, और वो अपने रूम वापस चले गए. Now, Jonesy woke up next morning. In a feeble voice, she asked Sue to draw the curtain. Sue was nervous. She drew back the curtain very reluctantly. Now, Jonesy woke up the next morning and in the very feeble, that is very weak voice, she asked Sue that, Sue, can you draw the curtains? तुम curtains हटा दोगी? Sue was very nervous because Sue knew that yesterday it was raining so heavily, इतनी तेज बारिश हो रही थी, that the last leaf would surely have been fallen, और अगर वो गिर गई हुई ना, and Johnsy looking at it, Johnsy जो है वो डिप्रेशन से ही वो मर जाएंगी. एंड शी वॉज वेरी नर्वस. बट वट हैपन, वो उसने बहुत ही रिलक्टेंटली, ना चाहते हुए भी, शी ड्रू बैक द कर्टन्स वेरी रिलक्टेंटली. Oh, Sue exclaimed as she looked at the vine creeper. Look, there is still one leaf. अब Sue ने जैसे ही बाहर देखा, looked at the vine creeper, she said, oh, look, there is still one leaf. देखो अभी भी एक leaf है. On the creeper, it looked quite green and healthy. In spite of the storm and the fierce wind, it didn't fall. Now she said there is still one leaf on the creeper and वो बहुत ही green और बहुत ही healthy leaf है. ठीक है, बहुत ही green, and in spite of such a storm, इतना fierce wind थी, इतना भयंकर storm था, and it did not fall. फिर भी जो वो leaf है वो नहीं गिरी, and this leaf is still over there. तो क्योंकि वो लीफ ओवर अभी भी वहीं पे है, सो तुम्हें भी कुछ नहीं होने वाला. शी टोल्ड हर, उसने उसको ऐसा कहा. नाउ शी सेड, I heard the wind last night, said John C. I thought it would have fallen. It will surely fall today and then I will die. Now she said, मैंने कल सुनी थी आवाजें कि last night जो wind की sounds थी कितनी तेज थी. जॉन्सी ने ऐसा कहा, एंड शी सेड आई थॉट, मैंने ऐसा सोचा, दैट दिस वुड हैव आल्सो फॉलन, ये लीफ भी गिर गई होगी. आई विल श्योरली, इट विल श्योरली, अगर कल नहीं गिरी ना तो इट इज गोइंग टू श्योरली फॉल टुडे, एंड एज सून एज इट फॉल देन आई विल आल्सो डाई. सो नाउ यू कैन सी कि वो कितनी ज्यादा परेशानी में थी. जॉन्सी स्माइल्ड वीकली, जॉन्सी ने बहुत ही वीकली स्माइल किया, एंड क्लोज हर आईज, उसने अपनी आईज को क्लोज किया. After every hour or so, she would look out of the window and find the leaf still there. It seemed to be clinging to the creeper. Now, Johnsy smiled very weakly and closed her eyes. After every hour or so, she would look out of the window and find the leaf still there. It seemed to be clinging to the creeper. ऐसा लग रहा था वो अभी भी उसी creeper से ही attached है. In the evening there was another storm, but the leaf did not fall. And in the evening again one storm came. फिर से तूफान आया, but the leaf did not fall. Leaf अभी भी नहीं गिरी. Johnsy lay for a long time looking at the leaf. जॉन्सी वहीं लेटे लेटे बहुत देर तक लीफ को देखती रही. Then she called out to Sue. फिर उसने Sue को बुलाया. She said, she called out to Sue and said, I have been a bad girl. उसने Sue से बोला, मैं बहुत बुरी लड़की हूँ ना, मैंने गलत लड़कियों की तरह बिहेव किया. You have looked after me so lovingly and I have not cooperated with you. I have been depressed and gloomy. The last leaf had shown me how wicked I have been. I have realized that it is a sin to want to die. Now Johnsy says that I have been a very bad girl. Whom is she saying so? किससे बात कर रही है वो ये बात कर रही है स्यू से। उसने बोला कि मैं इतनी बैड गर्ल रही, तुमने मेरा इतना अच्छे से केयर किया, यू हैव लुक्ड आफ्टर मी सो वेल, बट मैंने तुम्हारे साथ कोऑपरेट नहीं किया एंड आई हैव बीन डिप्रेस्ड एंड ग्लूमी एंड जो लास्ट लीफ है had shown me how wicked I have been, and the last leaf had shown me that how wicked I have been, and now I have realized कि मरने की इच्छा होना, to want to die is equals to a sin, वो भी एक पाप के जैसा ही होता है। स्यू हग्ड जॉन्सी, स्यू ने जॉन्सी को हग किया, बहुत ही प्यार से उसने उसको हग किया एंड देन शी गेव हर लॉट्स ऑफ हॉट सूप एंड अ मिरर, एंड उसने उसको बहुत ही हॉट सूप दिया, एक मिरर दिया, उसने मिरर रखा। जॉन्सी कॉम्ड हर हेयर एंड स्माइल्ड, एंड जॉन्सी ने अपने हेयर्स को कॉम किया एंड शी स्माइल्ड। इन विच वे? शी स्माइल्ड ब्राइटली, दैट इज शी स्माइल्ड वेरी हैप्पीली, बहुत खुशी खुशी उसने स्माइल किया। In the afternoon, the doctor came. After examining his patient, he told Sue, John C. now has the will to live. I am confident and she will recover soon. And now I must go downstairs to see Behrman. He is also suffering from pneumonia, but I am afraid there is no hope for him. Now, in the afternoon, the doctor came to examine John C. And after examining his patient, doctor told Sue that now John C. has the will to live. अब उसके अंदर इच्छा है जीने की, and I am confident she will recover soon, and I am very confident she is going to recover very soon. And now I must go downstairs. अब मैं नीचे जाऊंगा and I will see Behrman. मैं Behrman को भी एक बार चेक करूंगा because he is also suffering from pneumonia. उन्हें भी निमोनिया हो गया है, but I am afraid, मुझे डर है because in his age अगर उसे निमोनिया हो गया है, आई थिंक देर इज नो होप फॉर हिम, उनके बचने की मुझे कोई भी उम्मीद नहीं है। Who said so? The doctor said so. Next morning, Sue came and sat on Johnson's bed. Next day नहीं, next morning Sue came and sat on Johnson's bed. जॉन्सी के बेड पे बैठी, taking Johnson's hand in her. जॉन्सी का हाथ अपने हाथों में लेके she said, उसने कहा, I have something to tell you. मेरे पास तुम्हें बताने के लिए कुछ है। What? मिस्टर बेहरमैन डाइड ऑफ निमोनिया। मिस्टर बेहरमैन जो है वो निमोनिया से उनकी डेथ हो गई है दिस मॉर्निंग, आज सुबह। ही वॉज इल फॉर ओनली 2 days, वो सिर्फ 2 ही दिन के लिए बीमार थे। द फर्स्ट डे the janitor found him on his bed, and the first day janitor found him on his bed, his clothes and shoes were wet. जब उसको वो मिले थे जैनिटर को, तो जब उनको मिले तो उसने देखा उनके क्लोथ्स, उनके शूज सब गीले थे, एंड ही वाज शिवरिंग, और वो कांप रहे थे। he had been out in that stormy night, और वो उस stormy night पे बाहर थी, जो तूफानी रात थी 2 दिन पहले, he was out on that night, वो उस पूरी जो रात थी वो बाहर थे। Then they found a ladder and a lantern still lighted near his bed. फिर उनको एक ladder मिला और एक lantern मिला, still जो lighted था, and it was lying near his bed. And there were also some brushes and green and yellow paint on the floor near the ladder. और उनके पास में ही कुछ ब्रशेस मिले, ग्रीन एंड येलो कलर के पेंट्स मिले ऑन द फ्लोर नियर द लैडर, लैडर के पास में। एंड स्यू सेड, स्यू ने बोला, जॉन्सी डियर, व्हाट डिड स्यू सेड, जॉन्सी डियर, लुक आउट ऑफ दैट विंडो, देखो उस विंडो से बाहर, लुक एट दैट आईवी लीफ, वो आईवी लीफ को देखो। यू वंडर्ड व्हाई इट डजंट फ्लटर व्हेन द विंड ब्लोस, क्या तुमने कभी ये हैरान हो गए, तुमने ये सोचा है कि जब भी कभी हवा चलती है तो वो लीफ फ्लटर क्यों नहीं करती है? दैट्स बेयरमैन्स मास्टरपीस, और यही बेयरमैन का मास्टरपीस है। ही पेंटेड इट द नाइट द लास्ट लीफ फेल, ही उसने ये पेंटिंग बनाई किस, ही पेंटेड द लास्ट लीफ किस दिन, जिस दिन द लास्ट लीफ फेल। सो ही पेंटेड दिस लीफ, दिस artificial leaf, painted leaf in the night when the last leaf, at the same night the last leaf fell. This is by O Henry, and now he says that अब ठीक है, देखा गया, तुम्हें तो अब टेंशन नहीं लेनी, बट लुक एट द मास्टरपीस ऑफ द पर्सन हु फुलफिलिंग हिज मास्टरपीस लेफ्ट दिस वर्ल्ड। ठीक है, जो इस दुनिया को छोड़कर चले गए, एंड ही क्रिएटेड सच अ मास्टरपीस दैट दिस मास्टरपीस हैज बीन गिविंग लाइफ टू यू। वो इस मास्टरपीस ने एक तरह से आपको लाइफ ही दे दी है। ओके, so I hope the understanding of this chapter is clear. So this, the ivy leaf, the artificial painted ivy leaf was the Behrman's masterpiece, and he painted it the night the last leaf fell off. Yes. So written by O. Henry, and this was very interesting and amazing story. So if anybody wants to ask anything, so any queries, you raise your hands. कोई query हो तो आप अपना hand raise करें. No queries. So we can say the basic जो theme थी story की, that is upon the negative thought that comes in our mind. So अगर हमारी thinking negative होगी ना, तो nothing positive can happen to us. जो भी हमारे साथ होगा वो negative ही होगा. अगर हमारे साथ में हमारी जो thinking है, हमारे जो thoughts है, अगर वो negative है, तो things that are going to happen to us are also going to be negative. So जब तक जॉन्सी ऐसा सोचती रही, नेगेटिव थिंकिंग रखी उसने, दैट एज सून एज द लास्ट लीफ फेल, एंड सिमिलरली जैसे जैसे लीव्स फेल डाउन हो रही हैं, मेरी भी जो लाइफ है वो एंड हो रही है, एंड द डे द लास्ट लीफ फेल आई एम गोइंग टू डाई. सो दिस वाज अ नेगेटिव थॉट. नाउ सी, उसका उससे कोई कनेक्शन नहीं था, इट वाज जस्ट अ थॉट प्रोसेस. वो एक पेंटेड लीफ को देख के भी वो जिए जा रही है, और उसके अंदर जीने की जो इच्छा होती है वो डेवलप हो गई है. बट व्हाट वाज इट एक्चुअल में, वो क्या था? वो कुछ भी नहीं था. दैट वाज अ पेंटेड लिप. इट इज जस्ट अबाउट द थॉट्स दैट वी हैव. सो that is why her friends you tell her that stop thinking so pessimistically and stop thinking negatively, and you should think very positively in a very weak and motivational way. आपको हमेशा सोचना चाहिए. That is going to help you to overcome any difficulty or any difficult situation in your life. So Behrman did something great. He created a masterpiece and he painted it the last at the night the last leaf fell. Okay, so yes, any queries of yours? कोई query है तो आप पूछें.